Genesis chapter 1, verses 9. Then God said, "Let the waters under the heavens be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathered together of the waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let the earth bring forth grass, the herb that yields seed, and the fruit tree that yields fruit according to its kind, whose seed in itself on the earth." And it was so. And the earth brought forth grass, the herb that yields seed according to its kind, and the tree that yields fruit, whose seed is in itself according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. That was the third day. According to verse 13, that was verse 12, so verse 13. So the evening and the morning were the third day. That was the third day. So in the previous videos we've looked on the first day, the second day, and now we're on the third day. In the previous I've explained that I took waters as time, but in this, on the that day, it explicitly explains that it's the water that we drink of the oceans. And so how it was started, and so it brought land, and from there was grass, trees, vegetation basically. So I'll continue with this trail of thought of the appearance of life for the first time. Maybe I'll discuss the thought of water as time, but for now let's continue with the understanding of water as water and land as physical land. On that day we see life has started to appear. As from the Big Bang, the earth, when it was formed and it took shape, it cooled down enough for water to appear as in a liquid state. It took some time until the toxicity of the water had reduced. From what I understand, it was full of iron and other minerals which had to sediment out first. And it's at this point in time that the vegetation was able to appear. It started with simple life forms, bacteria, but we understand that there are forms of bacteria that have chlorophyll. Yeah, they can photosynthesize their own food. So from them, that's a basic form of plant life. Not really, but we can take that as an example. So vegetation basically was the first thing to take root and spread in the whole world, because for plants are the primary producers of food. So technically plants had to appear so that animals can have something to feed on. And actually, from the whole story, it must that it should be considered that one form of life cannot appear unless another form pre-exists it. Basically, like They can't be animals unless they have something to feed on. They started as bacteria because bacteria takes a very simple form. Basically, all the materials that were there, they were able to form these simple life forms, and so from them that evolution took root and more complex life form could appear. And even so, there needed to be something to feed on, because animals, like, they are forms of bacteria that basically make their own food from energy. There are others that can make food from chemosynthesis and so on. Basically, it has to be a source of obtaining energy for for what beings to thrive, because they can't just appear and just day off. There has to be something to feed on. And here, seeing that plants were the first to appear is shows a systematic way of it, a systematic method of it. Even in the Big Bang theory itself, it's systematic, because you can't move from one form to the final until you go through all the entire process. And so God himself was systematic. So here we see we see in well, verse 9, he parted the water from the dry land. In verse 10, he basically just calls the dry land the he calls it the dry land earth, and the seas, the waters, he calls seas. In verse 11, he said, let the earth bring forth grass. So from itself you can see the systematic method of it. He had to part the waters first so that plant life can have a place somewhere to take root and essentially just live. So basically the creation story has a systematic approach to it. That's what we can take to understanding in these 5 verses. Yes.